Miami Dolphins, you sons of guns. Just when I thought I was done talking playoff football, you go and do this. What is up, fans? How's everyone doing on this Victory Monday? As you could tell by the title, the Dolphins are still alive, and also the S word was brought up with Tua Tagovailoa. And you might be asking yourself, let me scoot over, my tree's not there anymore. You might be asking yourself, what the crap is the S word? Surgery. But when I saw that yesterday, I think Adam Beasley tweeted it out that Mike McDaniel said surgery isn't needed right now. I went, surgery? So we're going to talk about that. And yes, I told you I wasn't going to do it anymore. But we're going to talk about the playoffs. Because all the Dolphins need to do is have the Broncos lose and the Dolphins win. And they're the number 7 seed. So we got a lot to talk about, but first I have to shout out today's sponsor, a good friend of mine, Sean Seipler, Clean the World. He's a great organization. He has multiple organizations. If you remember the last time I shouted him out, he was raising money to build a well for these children and people. I think it was in Africa that needed this well built. Well, he hit his quota, and they are building a well and getting them clean drinking water and all the stuff that they need. So again, he does some fantastic things, and he also puts hygiene kits together, which are these things that have soap, socks, shampoo, toothpaste, all this good stuff, toothbrush, for people of need, third world countries, the homeless, natural disaster victims. Like, he does some great things. I'm even wearing one of his shirts. Wash your hands, bro. Very nice shirt. Go to the link in the description, cleantheworld.org. Go check him out. Really, really, really great stuff. So let's jump into this. First and foremost, we now know. Let's see if I picked the right one. Nope. Yeah, let me fix it a little bit. We now know the time and the date that the Miami Dolphins will be heading up to my neck of the woods, New Jersey, to take on the New York Jets. And that is January 5th at 4:25. Now, it's on Fox. That makes no sense to me why it's on Fox. Probably because the Broncos-Chiefs game, which is going to be played at the same exact time, will be on CBS. It's weird to me. But we will be playing at the same time as the Broncos-Chiefs because, again, if the Broncos lose, we win, we're in. If the Broncos win, we're out, and this game don't matter. So it's that plain and simple. I will go into more details on that after we get done talking about other stuff and draft picks and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But this is now the date and the time, January 5th, Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday, January 5th, 4:25 on Fox. Why on Fox? I don't know. This is from Barry Jackson. I love Barry Jackson. He says, appreciate McDaniel's thorough Tua explanation, clear that Tua not playing was totally justified. The one confusing thing not yet clarified is how he can play again this season if playing would have left him vulnerable to a much more significant injury and not options medically today. Does that risk disappear? With a quick natural healing? I'm going to go into more detail about that because, like I talked about in the title, surgery was brought up. So let's talk about it. Let's jump right into that. You know, Barry Jackson came out with a fantastic article. We're going to talk about that. 10 quick hits from the Dolphins' 20-3 victory over Cleveland. Tyler Huntley, who was promoted to the number 2 quarterback job earlier this month, said Friday that the Dolphins have indicated they want to re-sign him. What they didn't tell him is if he'd be on question number 2. To me, no. I'd go out and get a legit number 2, whether it is a veteran or whatever, have him compete. I'd even have him compete with Tua. But with Tua sidelined by his hip injury, Huntley made a very strong case for the job in 2025, producing 115.5 passer rating, completion percentage, completing 22 of 26, and one of them was a spike to kill the clock, so technically 22 of 25. For 225 yards, rushing for 53 on 6 carries, including a 13-yard touchdown, and he had the touchdown pass to Jonnu Smith. Particularly impressive was his accuracy and timing with Tyreek Hill, 9 for 105, Malik Washington, 4 for 41, and Jonnu Smith, 3 for 26. I've got a good feel of the plays right now, a couple weeks since the offense made a difference. Now, he definitely did fantastic. And I said it in the post game. I'm very happy with the way Huntley played. I was very skeptical. But you look at his stats, he did great. I was very happy. He evaded the pressure a lot. He made throws, especially falling, that I was just very ecstatic with. I'm not one to come on here and be like, Tua. When you're the starter, it's all I care about. Right? I want to win. I don't care if it's Huntley, if it's Skylar, if it's Tim Boyle. If you guys noticed throughout the season, when Skylar Thompson was starting against Seattle, I was rooting hard for him. I was like, come on, Skylar, let's get this W. Let's prove a lot of people wrong, myself included. I root for any starter. I'm not a Tuanir or a Tuanon or anything. I was very happy with Huntley and the way he came out. I will say this, though. His throwing motion throws me off. But hey, if he can get the ball to the guys and continue playing like he did yesterday, I got nothing to say. It's like a very long motion. If it works, it works. Who gives a crap? A source cautioned Friday not to assume that Huntley definitely would be the team's number 2 quarterback next season, saying he might be, but it's not certain. In fact, the league source said the Dolphins appreciate the skill of impending free agent Andy Dalton and called the Carolina Panthers about acquiring him after Tua was concussed in September. Interesting. Though talks did not lead to anything, though Dalton obviously has a far better career resume, Huntley plays Sunday seemingly strengthens his chances. Ooh, they're going after Dalton? Dalton 37 has 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and an 82 QB rating for Carolina, going 1-4 when Bryce Young was temporarily benched. That is interesting to me. But Huntley has far more mobility than Dalton, and with the way he played Sunday, there would be but nothing objectively about re-signing him as the number 2, in part because he would be cheaper than several others for a Dolphin team that will be facing major salary cap crunch. We'll talk about that in the offseason. The Dolphins also could sign a second veteran who's affordable and competent. The Dolphins have less than $5 million in 2025, yada, yada. But free agency is set to include Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Cooper Rush, Jameis Winston and Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mason Rudolph, Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Jarrett Stidham. I will talk about the guys that I like from that list when we go into free agency and who I'd want to target. Hill said Huntley can throw the ball all the time, read defenses, and also make plays with his feet, and also showed leadership with halftime comments, which is amazing, and I'm very happy for. Besides being cheaper than some other options, on the other hand, on the other advantage that Huntley now has is he knows the offense that he said Friday is very complex. Again, a lot of people want to, kind of poop on the fact that a lot of people think that this offense is hard to grasp, and the fact that, it's Tua's 3rd year, not a lot of people can run the offense. Well, the quarterback himself came out and said it's very complex. Hill said that's now clear. He understands the guys run their routes now. Asked Friday what he's looking for in a backup quarterback, McDaniel said, I think you're looking for being a backup quarterback is one of the most difficult tasks in the existence of football. So the baseline to me is that you have the guy that are self-motivated, stay prepared without losing the edge. If you can have one, 2 or 3 or 4 games in a row, every single game you have to be ready. Hey, man, I will say this. I really like the way Tyler Huntley played. I like the way he used his mobility. I like the way he continued getting out of the pocket. He was sacked 4 times because the offensive line's hot garbage. But I like the way he played. And I'm very, very happy with the way we got that W. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and crap on another player to raise up another player. I never did that with Tua and other guys, and I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to sit here, talk about the guy who played. That is Tyler Huntley. Loved the way he played. Let's talk about Tua, though, because that's a subject that is being brought up right now, which concerned the crap out of me. McDaniel said surgery is not currently on the table for Tua, but said he has no idea whether he plays at the Jets next weekend. McDaniel says it's not related to the injury to the same hip that required surgery at Alabama. McDaniel's explanation for why Tua did not play: the hip injury which he sustained in the Houston game was made worse on one particular play against the 49ers. You see the injury is a little worse and try to focus how things will heal based on the previous week's forecast. We're hoping and anticipating for a timeline similar to that. As the week progressed, we did not see the improvement we expected. So essentially what we're saying is he heard it against Houston, felt a little bit better, and I guarantee it's that play I kept showing you where he took the hit from Bosa, re-aggravated it, and now we're here where we're at. Ultimately, he has absolutely wanted to play. It wasn't a pain tolerance thing. He's not only was super susceptible to much more significant injuries, but a major factor was the lack of strength due to the injury and his immobility to protect himself and his teammates within the pocket during things he normally has to do. From a medical perspective, it was not an option for him to play. Now, let's address a few things in those comments. First off, the fact that he said surgery is not currently on the table means that surgery could be on the table, but right now, currently, it is not. And if that's the case, what the crap is going on? That's not what I want to hear, especially for a guy who gets injured too much, and we had one good year out of him. That's not good. I don't like hearing that. The other thing I want to address, and I saw this on Twitter, and I saw this in the comment section, people calling Tua a P word, P-U-S-S-Y, saying Tua should play. Why isn't he fighting through it? Tua this, Tua that, all blaming Tua for not playing. Now, I blame Tua for getting hurt. I blame Tua for the consistency of putting himself in danger. But I will not blame Tua for not wanting to play. And McDaniel even came out and said it. And even when he got the broken ribs, or cracked ribs against Buffalo, I think that was in 2021. And even Brian Flores came out and said he continued to try to go out and play again, but I had to stop him to protect him from himself. That's Tua. If Tua had it his way, and it was back in the 1990s where the medical staff didn't even give you a cortisone shot in your hip and go out there and play, he would have played. But McDaniel is overly cautious with these players, obviously, if you could tell by the constant vet resting and free in training camp and during the week. And he was overly cautious with Tua, as you could tell by him kissing him on the head when he got the concussion. So, and Tyreek Hill even came out and said that it was more of protecting Tua from himself. Because again, if Tua had it up to him, he would have played. But when like McDaniel broke it down, and this is where it's Tua's fault, right? Because Tua would have went out there, Tua would have tried to play. But obviously, if it's the hip, and if it's not the same hip that he hurt, and if there is some type of discomfort or he limits the strength, when you're throwing the football, it's in the hips. Like, what's his name from Happy Gilmore? It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. Oh, what's his name? Comment it below. It's in the hips, man. So if he can't drive the ball, you think he has a bad arm now, just imagine with a banged up hip. And if he can't get out and step up and evade pressure, it's going to get worse. So it was a team decision. It was a head coach decision. So again, let's not call it like it is. Let's be honest. Tua's injury prone and he needs to stop doing it. But on the flip side, he would have played if he could have, but then he would have put himself in more danger. It's that catch-22. Tua gets injured because he plays hero ball, and if Tua had it his way, he would have played hero ball in this game and would have probably lost the game and got more injured. So McDaniel came in, he stepped in, and he was like, listen, don't do it. But him saying in the beginning of this, surgery is not currently on the table, what the crap is going on? If he got to have surgery, then you exercise whatever you need to in that contract. You break down whatever you need to in the contract to save yourself more money, because this is a problem. And I talked about this being a problem with Tua's injuries. And this is why I said, wait, let him play that fifth-year option out. Hill said he made a change in his practice routine. I decided not to take any days off. The accountability on my part and also the head coach, I'm not going to take full credit for. Wednesdays and Thursdays are a really good time to get good reps with the quarterbacks. Take advantage of that. And today showed. I'm really proud of that. I took reps with both guys, Tua and Snoop. Hill said last week that he needed to practice more after taking some Wednesdays off, and kind of showed. He also showed slowed by wrist injury, but has said he does not expect to need surgery. Thank God. 3 personnel moves by general manager looked very good on Sunday. The addition of Calais Campbell, man's amazing. The decision to part with Jerome Baker to bring in Jordan Brooks, amazing. Releasing David Long and bringing in Terrell Dotson, amazing. They need to bring back Dotson. I think Brooks is under contract, but those 2 guys need to be a big part of your linebacking core. The Dolphins quarterbacks played very well, including a nifty knockdown by Kader Kohu and play of the game, Jalen Ramsey poking away a throw to Jerry Jeudy on 4th and goal with Cleveland down by 10 in the 4th quarter. Beyond Teron Armstead leaving with a knee injury, 2 other major negatives during the game. For the 6th time in 7 games, the offensive line couldn't get any push in the run game, removing Huntley's rushing yards. Miami ran for 20 times for 22 yards. Horrible. The penalties, 11 for 94. From a play calling standpoint, there's been nothing perhaps more exacerbating than the choice made on 3rd and 4th and short, including the pitch to Devon Achane that lost 2 yards on 4th and 2. I was so mad about that. Jeff Wilson Jr. converted a 3rd and 2 against the 49ers, and it's pulsing that he isn't Miami's primary option on short yardage. If you were watching the live stream, I was so mad on that 4th and 2 where he decided to pitch it. Oh my God, it got me so heated. It's such a stupid move to do that. Miami's 8-8, is now 5 for 13 on 4th and 1, or 2. 4th and 1 or 2, which is 31st in Miami. So overall, what I got from this article, again, Barry, fantastic article. Tyler Huntley, fantastic game. The Dolphins are going to try to bring him back because he is a lesser cap hit and a very viable guy. We will still look at other quarterbacks that are available to potentially bring in. The head coach saved Tua from himself. He would have played if he could have, but also that whole surgery is not currently on the table. I'm like, what the crap is going on there? Hill getting more practice time. We are seeing it there, and some little tidbits of information here and there. Very happy with that. I'm very happy to that. Jonnu Smith now owns the franchise record for receptions, receiving yards, and is tied for lead in touchdowns by tight ends. Fantastic. Dolphins started 2-6, and after a 6-2 stretch are 8-8 with a shot at the playoffs in Week 18. Mike McDaniel deserves some credit for holding things together. Playoff wins, most importantly, but if the Dolphins post 5 straight winning seasons, at least they're not the blank show organization, because we all know those blank show organizations. I don't really want to call them out, but one of them just got destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. I want to talk about one other thing before we get into playoffs and draft talk and all that stuff. Decision making when it comes to the front office and the head coach. The only thing in my mind that should save Chris Greer is a playoff win. If the Dolphins win the playoff game, fine, bring him back. Outside of that, I don't think they should bring back Greer. Now, when I was in the first quarter, maybe second quarter of this Browns game, in my mind, I was like, he's gone, because it was just a horrible game. And I'm like, Greer's gone. There's no way if the Dolphins eke out a 9-3 win over Cleveland, you're going to bring back Chris Greer. Obviously, they won more than that. They won 20-3. But still, it's just, you look at 6 years of what he brought in and what he let go. Now, he obviously brought in good talent, but he also made a lot of dumb decisions, and the Dolphins are in the situation they're in, sitting at 8-8 because of Chris Greer. And I've heard people say, give him one more year. You know, it looks like he's turning it around. It's been 6 years. Why isn't he turning around the past 6? So, in my opinion, the only thing that should save Chris Greer his job is playoff win. Dolphins get a playoff win. If they eke into the playoffs and somehow miraculously beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, first off, I told you guys already, and you can timestamp this. If the Miami Dolphins eke their way into the playoffs and beat Buffalo in Buffalo in the first round of the playoffs, I will give myself a crew cut. I'm talking number 2. I'm not going down to number 1. A number 2, which is kind of the sides, a little shorter than my sides, all over. I'm giving myself a crew cut if the Dolphins eke into the playoffs and beat Buffalo. I will be the happiest man on the face of the earth. Then I'm kidding. Chris Greer, sure, you can stay. You brought in Calais Campbell, you brought in Terrell Dotson, made the decision to get rid of not Jerome Baker, David Long Jr., who's currently having a hard time getting a roster because I think he tried to get on the Falcons and he failed a physical or something. Like, okay, cool. You deserve it. I'll shave my head. If not, he needs to go. Plain and simple. Let's look at where we see this is tonight's game. I think Detroit will win that game. So as you can see right now, the number 1 seed, actually, you know what? I want to look up. I want to break free. I want to look up and see who got eliminated. So this is who got eliminated. So the only guys that are left are Miami and Cincinnati and Denver when it comes to the AFC that are left to make the playoffs. And in the NFC, it's just deciding who wins the division. So I think, yeah, it's just who's going to get the number 4 seed. This is locked up. Their wild card is locked up, except for if Detroit wins the next 2 games, they get the number 1 seed. If they don't, because we'll talk about that. But yeah, this is locked up. Now it's this divisional game between Tampa and Atlanta to see who wins that division and essentially gets the number 4 seed. And then with this one, it's this tight race between these 3 teams. It's getting nuts. It's getting chock full of nuts in here. Okay, so as we sit right now, the draft order looks like this. With the Giants beating Cleveland, in Indy, they dropped down from 1 to 4. Miami's sitting at 15 right now, right? Standing wise, we already saw it. Boom, Miami's here at 8. Cincy, Indy eliminated themselves by losing to the Giants. So we have next week. There is still a fight here because if Cleveland wins and Pittsburgh wins, they win the division. You see that? So these games, they're still going to play their starters. And they're going to play at the same time. I think these are going to be the 1 o'clock games. So if this happens, then obviously this happens. And I think this will happen because I think they're going to have something more to play for. And I think Cincy's going to have a hard time with Pitt's offense. But again, if this game does not affect the Miami Dolphins. This could happen fine and dandy. If the Dolphins win, the Broncos lose, they're in. The Bengals need the Dolphins and the Broncos to lose for them to get in, but I think this will happen. Now, you will have the Tampa Bay and this game playing at the same time because if this happens and they lose, then the Falcons make the playoffs and the Buccaneers don't. But I think this is what will happen. So I personally think this will be your seeding here. There's that. So I think this doesn't matter. Seeding does matter, so they'll play. So Washington here, I think Green Bay here, they want to probably jump up, but God, the NFC's division wild card is just craziness. I think Jaguars win this one, if I'm being honest with you. I think even if the Colts beat the Giants, I think the Jaguars would have beat them. I think they rest their starters, so I don't think it really matters here because, again, the best they could do is that. So I think Buffalo rests their starters against New England. I think this happens too because I don't think it really matters here because I think let's just say the Eagles win. We'll go off there. I think Houston wins this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they rest their starters as well and eke in at 9 and 8. I think Arizona wins this one because I think San Fran is kind of dunzo bunzo. We'll get back to this one. I think they rest their starters, so I think you'll see the Raiders win this one. I think they'll win this one just because, hey, screw you. So let's look at this one real quick, which is pivotal. Because if the Lions win, they get the number 1 seed. If the Vikings win, they get the number 1 seed. Let me see if they lose. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I think they'll rest their starters potentially. But if they win and get knocked down that far, oh my goodness. But this is where it's going to come down. You know, who's going to get the number 1 seed? Which is crazy if you think about it. Because you will either go from the 5 seed to the number 1 seed and get home field advantage. And Minnesota is playing good football, and Detroit is banged up. I'm going to go this way because I think that might be the way it goes. And this is the big game. They're going to play at the same time. If this happens, Miami gets in the playoffs. If this happens, Miami doesn't get in the playoffs. If this happens, Miami doesn't get in the playoffs. But if this happens, Cincinnati gets in the playoffs. See how it works? So this game don't matter because if the Dolphins win It don't matter. Three-way tie. Dolphins have the better conference record. Here's the thing. Again, they're playing at the same time. KC is resting their starters. So Carson Wentz is going to be their starter. They're going to be playing for something. This game is going to be crazy town. Now, will Tua be playing? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. Tua is undefeated versus the Jets. Will the Jets be playing for anything? Will Tyrod Taylor be the starting quarterback for the Jets? He should be. I think they should sit Aaron Rodgers and potentially anyone else. But we'll see if they come out there and try to fight hard to upset the Dolphins this season. But this is the game that, this game and this game are, these three games are probably the big ones that people are going to be looking at. And obviously the South, right? Outside of that, no one really cares about anything else. But if you look, right, so if the Dolphins win, draft order, we're 15 kind of locked in there. But I think this kind of happens, right? So we're probably 16 locked in there. If the Dolphins lose, we go up to 14, right? And then, like, if you really want to get, like, best case scenario and, like, they win, I'm trying to think of people that are in the same vicinity of the Dolphins. Maybe even they win. Nah, that don't matter. They win, so they get in. Then they, like, it doesn't really matter. They really stay at probably 14 because you're looking at Dallas, Indy, are the teams you want to win. So let's say Indy wins. And who's Dallas playing? I say Dallas wins because they rest their starters. Yeah, then we jump up to 12. That's the highest the Dolphins will get if everything goes to plan. Losing-wise, the Dolphins' highest pick will be 12 because you look at the other teams, they're, right, 12, and the lowest they'll get is probably like 15, 16. Hopefully that explains it all for you. In a nutshell, the Dolphins need to win, and the Broncos need to lose, and the Dolphins get in. Will Tua be playing? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. Will anyone else be playing? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. But this is it. If you want the playoffs, here we go. If you want a high draft pick, you want to root for Indy to win, you want to root for Dallas to win, you want to root for Arizona to win, and you want to root for all these other teams to win and the Dolphins to lose. So I'll talk about that again probably on Saturday, who you want to win, Friday, who you want to win, who you want to lose for draft picks and for getting in. But it's very simple, to the point. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I'll see you tomorrow. I got a two for you tomorrow. I got one New Year's video for you guys tomorrow, and I got the film breakdown tomorrow for you. We're going to look at Tyler Huntley, the good he did, very good. The defense, horrible offensive line. We're going to look at a lot. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You get two videos tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy and fins up.